Live. Okay. Oh yeah. It's there. It's there. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. This is I'm in a tizzy. Wow, this sandbox is getting to be a sandcastle, Tracy.
You're having so much fun. I love that.
Yes, yes. We got 50 more seconds to. I see people coming on. One person is, hey, don't just, you better come on and stay. Oh, let's go to Facebook to make sure. Tracy, I hope you're sharing.
What's that?
Are you sharing on Facebook?
I'm trying to.
There we go. It is live, Tracy Phillips. Afternoon, everybody. This is a new year, 2022. How are you doing, Tracy?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great. I'm trying to get into Facebook right now, but we'll figure this whole thing out. I'm doing great. Happy New Year to you and to everybody out there.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I missed you, Tracy. Oh my goodness. We hadn't seen or talked for quite a while. So
I know,
great
I
to
missed
see
you too. It's good to see you too. It's actually good to be seen. I was really, really sick. So yeah, that's why we weren't on the last go round. Wulwyn was kind enough to kind of take the reins and make things happen. And like DJ, I'm gonna start calling you DJ. DJ Wulwyn Port. Because look at you, you got like this sport in the DJ look. But yeah, you were nice enough to take the reins and kind of cover the bases and everything, because I was sick. I was really sick. So, but here I am. I made it. I'm good.
Good to see you. Good to see you back and strong.
Yeah.
Hey, Paxton is on. So you're seeing a couple of things happening here. This is our new look and feel. And let's talk about it before we even jump in. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so. Let's show people around.
So we've broken the show into a couple parts. Like right now, you see the intro at the bottom of the screen, but more so, we want you at the beginning of this show to start sharing it. Please share. 1, 2. Please go and subscribe to the on the YouTube channel. Go to the Facebook, and share with your friends if you've gotten, and I know you've gotten something from it. But we have the intro, and as we go, then it turns into the warm up. After the warm up, and then that's when Tracy starts to enunciate, and that's when we have the main event, and we are going to go in and really go in tight and hard, and then we'll soften it up with dessert. Right? That's close to us wrapping it up. And as we're wrapping up, we say our goodbyes, and then we see you in 2 weeks. Right? So we truly appreciate you. We have the countdown. You saw it, every 2 minutes before the show, we will come in and do that. so you can get your drink of choice. Get your drink of choice and come on in. But we're I am so excited, Tracy. You know what I'm excited about?
What are
I'm
you most excited about, Wulwyn? Tell us.
I'm excited that 3 years ago you and I started on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went and said, huh, well, let's just share it. And we shared it. We were on Facebook only the first year. We were on my Facebook page, if you remember.
Yep, we were streaming through your personal profile page. Yep, that's right.
And then from streaming to personal, we were like, nah, this doesn't seem right. And you're like, well, let's do something. Like, okay, but this isn't work for us. It's we're in the sandbox and we're playing. So I go, yeah, we'll see. So Tracy is the writer, the the marketing, putting things out there about the show, saying, oh, it's on next week, it's on in 2 weeks. I'm the technical guy. So she says, well, when you do it, I'm like, okay, we'll see. A couple of weeks or a couple of months later, we got our Facebook page. And I think in a day or two, we got 200 likes or so, just bam, bam, bam. And then the second year, we went, we need to add YouTube. And we added YouTube. And here we are this year. It was about maybe 4 months ago. We were, gosh, and you came. Well, and I like the fancy stuff. I'm like, what kind of fancy stuff you talking about, Trace?
I'm
And
so fancy, I tell
and she
you.
says, well, and I like how when people commented, and so years one, Paxton Bell goes, Happy New Year. And that's
Yeah, I
what
love
it's
that. We
about.
can all see everybody talking together. What we
Correct.
wanted.
Correct. And here we are, Tracy. We'll make mistakes in this particular show. We will, but we're in a sandbox, and be
That's right.
graceful with us as we uncover this beauty of what we're doing. That's what I'm excited about.
The next iteration. Well, thank you so much for doing
Mm,
so much on the tech end of things, because again, that's really where this change, the changes are most immediate on the tech end. So yeah, I mean, we are I again, I don't think it took us a long time before we even referred to this as a podcast, right? Because it really hasn't had, it's like had its own um I don't know, category.
yep. Yep.
It literally is in the moment. We don't bring on guests. We don't have scripts. We don't talk previously about what we're going to be talking about next time. We really are trying to be true to where Wulwyn and I both live, which is in this space of now. I mean, as much as possible, we're human too, right?
Correct.
But I think what we're trying to practice more and more is, working with the energies that are present, working with, the information that's coming through that's present, and really, again, showing up and hopefully modeling what it's like to be present in conversation. Because again,
Mm,
I think conversation we'll see becoming more and more important, as time goes on. I think we all realize the importance of communication and conversation. But really it's been highlighted a lot, as we've gone through the last couple of years and we've been separate from one another. And, the only thing we really had to continue to be in each other's lives is, these ways to communicate, other than being face to face. And so, conversation again, I think takes a certain place in relationship in our lives. And so that's really kind of what we're trying to draw out and
mm.
and talk about in a variety of different, methods and models and all the things that come up that we talk about.
So talking about eavesdrop in a moment. Talk about in a moment. We don't have guests, but something's happening in the background here, Tracy.
Yes, we don't typically bring on guests, but we
We
do have
don't
guests every
typically
once in a
bring on
while.
guests, but so you remember I was telling you I was fixing up a studio, right? And if you notice, I don't have the blue curtain in here and da da da, because I got some plans in 2022 that I'm gonna step right in and do, right? But I I have a friend who's here, And am I getting feedback? I have a friend who's here, and I am going to spotlight her for a quick second to say a thing or two. Hey, Rada.
Thank you guys for having me on, even though that's not your thing.
Can you hear her?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. That's okay. We're happy to have you on, Rada.
I know. So, Rada, tell us about yourself quickly. I'm sorry, Traci. I know we don't do this, but this is in the moment.
This is what we do.
This is what we do. And I needed this wall. This wall you see behind me, the wall back there, really designed properly. And Rada does excellent walls. And that's why I said, Rada, please step over. And we planned it a couple of weeks ago, but things just came in and out. But so it happened today. And here we are. So Rada, come on, tell us quickly. Do your thing.
First of all, thank you guys for allowing me to be in this space. I feel very privileged and honored to be the only guest that you guys apparently have had, like ever. So basically, Wulwyn and I talk, and he's seen my wall and has been very inspirational in terms of having me to come out and help other people create these walls that basically are visual stories, if you will. So once this is done, make sure that you, Traci, ask him about something on the wall and he'll have a story for you. But basically, to not take up time, I'm a lot of things. So if you just go to Rada Mills at LinkedIn, that's the best place to connect with me, Rada Burt Mills on LinkedIn. But I'm just here as a friend, supporting another friend and giving him a space to just be able to remove the curtain and show you a little bit of his layers as he shares with you guys, Traci, and the rest of the people that support this podcast. So that's all I'm going to say. Just better yet, go into the comments and I'll come in and I'll comment how to connect with me if you guys want. Otherwise, stay tuned for this amazing wall that we're going to be able to debut very soon. Thank you.
Oh, yay, Rada, that was wonderful. Well, so can I say something really quickly about that?
Sure.
What's been coming through so strongly for me in a trend, or I guess a highlight for 2022 is the word inspiration. And so there's a famous quote by Thomas Edison, and you probably, most of us have heard it. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, right? So really famous quote. I actually think that this year and moving forward, we're going to flip the script on that quote. And it's going to be 99% inspiration, 1% perspiration. And what I mean by that is when we can stay in the vibration of inspiration, right? If we can fill that bucket of what inspires us, what motivates us, what beautifies our lives, what makes us want to go out and create, then it's going to take but a flip of our pinky finger as far as the perspiration part to make things manifest.
Yes. Yes.
That we have been throughout time told we have to effort, we have to work hard, we have to grind, we have to, perspire. It's all in our physical efforting that we create. And I actually think we're coming into a time where we're really flipping the script, like I said, on that.
Yes.
So things like what you're talking about are going to be increasingly more important to fill that bucket of inspiration.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Traci.
Thank you.
You have a friend, Jeannie Scales Ellis, says, "Hey."
Oh, hi, Jeannie.
Small world, right?
I love it. Yeah, totally.
Rada, thank you so much, Rada. Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, I think introductions have been made. So this is where I think warm-up's already done. And
look at you giving us framework. That's
oh yeah.
We have music for that. Like we have a main event. Like I feel like we need rocking music or something.
This lady request, and I attempt to make it happen. Can you hear me?
I can. I hear more music though.
But this is it, y'all. Traci, what's going on, sis?
So speaking of that inspiration, music is something that, I've been talking a lot with my clients since the beginning of this year, 5 days in.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I'm competing with the music. So
I know. I'm gonna lower that.
5 days in, but there's been some really amazing conversations that I've been having with people about, again, what do you want and what supports you? What do you need, right? As far as support. Those are two questions that typically I've asked people and it stumps them. I can ask the question, what can you get? And I think we've been living in this time is like, what can I get? We're always thinking, what can I get based on what I've got? What I have seen is possible, what I have seen other people get, what, based on what has been got or gotten. It's not proper grammar. But that's the way we've been thinking, very small, very limited. Instead of what do I want and what do I need based on what supports me. So these questions and what do I want? I want more music in my life. I want more fun in my life. I want, more expansion. Well, what will that mean? Because the other main theme that I've seen come up is around decluttering, right?
Gotcha.
What do we need to get rid of both physically, mentally, emotionally, and in our narratives even, that has been holding us, to these spaces of limitation, right? Of only what can I get based on what I've either gotten or other people have proven is available. To think beyond that, inspiration is really can take us into places, beyond what we've even, considered or seen before. And I think that's where we're really being called to kind of start to show up. So whatever delivers us there, whether it's music or fun with friends or, just quiet time alone, asking ourselves those questions. That's kind of what I'm putting front and center with the people I've been talking to, is to consider and to define those a little bit more for ourselves.
Wow.
So what comes up for you? What do you want in 2022, Wulwyn?
Oh my goodness.
Other than your beautiful wall that's in the making,
I know.
Inspired action is another thing that's coming up where people there's less time between. We've been carrying these ideas around in our craniums for a long time. And I'm just seeing people just literally doing it, taking the Nike slogan and kind of literally applying it.
Yes. I think creativity it's what's coming in. I'm not going to sit back.
Yeah.
Because I'm finding out the void has been filled by stuff. And when I say stuff, just stuff. And I look at it and I go, why is that on? Why are people looking? Why? So instead of sitting in the background saying, why? I'm going to fill the space with me. I'm going to fill it, and I'm going to fill it with my character. I'm going to fill it with my laughter. I'm going to fill it with my joy. I'm going to counter whatever that isn't helping to put a smile, to encourage, to extract greatness from others. I'm going to be that person to fill it. And I think the awesome thing I heard Verlin say yesterday was, I'm learning that in 2022, and it's just a couple of days in, 5 days in, she says, I'm learning to leave room for the unexpected.
Oh, that's powerful.
Leaving room for the unexpected is leaving room when you hear that. I hope the connotative is not, it doesn't connote the unexpected of bad things, but no,
waiting for the shoe to drop kind of thing. Yeah,
correct. Leaving room for unexpected of greatness, of great things happening to you. Oral Roberts used to say, something good is going to happen to you today, right? Something good is going to happen to you today. Something good is going to happen to us. Something good is going to happen to me, because that's my expectation of it. Because you said it earlier, we're bringing those things into being. We're bringing those things out, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting greatness. I'm expecting greatness from myself. I'm expecting greatness from you. Everybody I encounter, I engage with, And you always say this, I'm looking to see their zone of genius and allowing them to be genius.
I love that. Well, and and great things happening can come in all guises. Great things happening sometimes can come in and look not so great at first.
Yes.
And I think that's the key piece, is when we know we're looking through a lens of gift, we're being given this life is for us and it's not happening to us, then we can have that expectation, because no matter what comes in, we're going to look at it through the lens and perspective of greatness. Right? Because one of the things that's been coming through for me, so much has been coming through in my meditations, almost to the point where I'm just like, whoa, okay, like I need to kind of compartmentalize this a little bit, is what's going to there's a lot that's going on in 2022. There is a lot that's going to be happening in this year. And to that quote of 99% inspiration, 1% perspiration, our job is to stay inspired.
Yeah.
So the narratives we write around whatever's happening get to be shifted to inspiration. That's really key. And we are meant to not to be distracted by what's falling away because we have an attachment to it. Right? There's this great book that I read. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
No.
Great book. It's been around for a long time.
Okay.
His son, Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., wrote the five what is it? Steps. I keep wanting to say steps, levels, the 5 levels of attachment. And it is fantastic. And I really love it. For those of you who love soccer, he uses the analogy of soccer, the game of soccer, which, I think is really powerful. But that book is really great because it makes us aware of where and how we attach and how that can keep us from, again, being inspired, creating greatness, seeing greatness, shifting our narratives into those of greatness, into a way of looking that's through the lens of greatness.
What was the name of the books, Traci?
So the 4 agreements are great. It's Toltec wisdom. If you know anything about the Toltec, belief system and all that, both Don Miguel Ruiz and obviously his son, he brought him up in Toltec ways and wisdom. They're Toltec wisdom for the modern day. But the 4 agreements was Don Miguel Ruiz. Don Miguel Ruiz Jr. wrote the 5 levels of attachment. Wow. Really powerful book. And they're less than 200 pages, easy read. You could read them actually in one sitting. Powerful stuff. But what we're meant to do going forward is not be distracted by the paradigms that are disintegrating. There's a lot of conditioned paradigms that we've been attached to through conditioning, through experience, through living. Oh, but that's the way it needs to be, that are going to be dissolving. That can become very traumatic if we live in the narrative of the attachment we have to it. So what's been coming through for me is stay focused on what inspires and motivates you. Don't get distracted by what's falling away. If people are leaving your life, then it's meant to happen. If jobs are leaving your life, they're meant to happen. I just had clients, and this has happened a couple times, as I continue to make changes and change what I do in coaching. But at the end of the year, here I am sick. And then I had 4 longtime clients graduate.
Oh, wow.
And so you lose 4 clients at once. And, not a whole lot was going on because I was sick. And all of a sudden I'm like, whoa. But then I held that space, basically telling myself, don't get distracted by what's going away. Get distracted by, to your wife's point, what's opening up to make room for the unknown.
Yes.
And I basically in the last 2 weeks closed about 10 grand in new clients and projects. Right. So, and I'm just throwing those things out there, not to but to let people know the power of what happens when we let go of what we're attached to, because we told ourselves, oh, that's how I've been able to make my income, or that's how I've been able to feel love, or that's how I've been able to feel significance, or whatever the attachment happens to be. And we open ourselves up to, okay, I think I've mentioned this before, but this was literally what was going through my mind when things were my own health. I had some serious dark nights of the soul during the health where I literally thought I was dying. I'm not even kidding. It wasn't that I was dying, but so much was changing in my life that these deep-seated fears started to come up, and I went into a reaction mode.
Wow.
And so I had to sit there and practice my breathing techniques, practice all the tools and techniques. My lovely friend, Tony Stevens, who taught me body talk access, taught me this tapping method that I must have done at one point for like an hour straight just to calm me down enough so I wasn't hyperventilating. There were some deep, deep places that I had to feel through. So again, it's not about abandoning those places. And when I say don't get distracted, it's like sometimes when they grab a hold of you by the jugular, you can't help but move through it. But don't put a story around it. Right? Be in it. Allow yourself to experience it, move through it, and stay inspired by what you're creating and building. But all I can say is that had to fall away. Whatever that was that I was experiencing emotionally and physically, and then the falling apart of other things that I realized I was attached to had to go away to make room for what was coming in.
Wow.
Right. And so again, it's a simple example of that, but it is a very profound piece that's coming through kind of, and why I wanted to share it with everyone today.
You know, I hear you talk, and all I can liken that to is don't put new wine in old wineskin, right? It's you can't, you couldn't, the new things that were coming in had to come in a new mindset, had to come in, if I may say, a new Traci for within 5 days to close up on 10 grand of work. You now we look
that I didn't
back,
see coming. That
correct.
I didn't see coming, right? So there was not like, oh, there's this conversation I know I'm going to be having, and that might, it literally, to your point, your wife was saying, like make room for that. I mean, I had let go, just trusting with that image in my head of Jesus with the teddy bear. We've all, I think a lot of us have seen that one where it's like, trust me, and the attachments we have to those old teddy bears that we're clinging to, and the eyes are popping off and the seams are coming undone. And yet it's all we know. And so we cling to it as if it's the only availability, what we've got, right? What can I get based on what I've got? Right. And it's that clinging and those attachments that's holding us back from making room. The decluttering is to, if I want to buy a brand new wardrobe, but I have my closet is jam packed with old stuff I never wear, there's no room to bring in that new wardrobe.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So making room, and some of the stuff we're going to choose to let go of, and some of it we're going to be glad to let go of, and other things are not. It's going to be like, okay, I'll let go of that. And we have to have faith. We don't have to do anything, but we get to have faith and trust if we choose to, that it's actually making room for something that we could never have even imagined.
Yeah. Oh, you stop preaching now. You, as you were saying it, and all of those things, I think it was another thing I am going, that I started to pray on, meditate on, and it was, I'm going to become childlike in every aspect of my life. And what that means for me is, you don't see a child worrying about, what am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? Because mom and dad's going to take care of it. Right. I'm not going to worry about business. I'm going to do what I need to do. But I'm not going to concern myself. Childlike, trusting. Everybody I'll meet, I'll trust you until you show me that I shouldn't. Everybody I meet, I'm going to be joyful and engaging with you. A child, isn't it? It's so wonderful to be around a child.
Yes.
You become joyful, you become youthful, you start to do certain things that you don't do. So I want to be the guy who, and I'm not doing it for you to do what you don't do. I want to do what I'm supposed to do. When I get in a room, I don't want to adult, and no, radar I saw on your shirt, adulting. I don't want to get in a room. So thank you, Lord. You see how when we go into rooms of networking, we're adult. We think on how am I gonna do
How
this?
does the world want me to be? And what
Yes,
I'm hearing you say is you're choosing to be who
I'm,
you are as
I'm
opposed
gonna
to
come
who
in that
you
room.
think others.
Yes, Tracy, I'm gonna come in that room. Hey, how are you? And I'm gonna be me.
Mhm.
There's so many times I went into rooms where I was me. I would be me, but prior to becoming me, oh, I gotta act like a put my shoulders up and put airs around us. And in that
Mask.
moment, the mask, in that moment of airing or masking, someone is passing looking to see the real you. Someone is passing to find the real. I'm looking for somebody who's real that I can connect with. But in that moment, as you're puffing, the person passes, looks at you and says, that's not him or that's not her. So when we can come into these spaces on this podcast, wherever we're planning, if we can go and become ourselves, become childlike, not immature, but childlike in a
Not
sense of
childish.
not
Yeah.
childish. Thank you, Tracy. We can come into those spaces and allow people to disarm quickly, and we get in our sandbox like we talked about in this eavesdropping a moment is a sandbox you've seen. If you go up to the first EP, you will go like, and then you come and see this one, you go, wow. And that's what growth and childlikeness is about. We are
Yeah.
exploring. And Tracy's gonna come again next week with, whoa, and I saw something. And we're
Because
gonna
I'm
go,
the detailed one
we'll,
when it looks at
we'll
the whole
try it.
picture.
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, the
So
ideas.
2022 eavesdroppers, please, please be childlike, explore, make mistakes. Like I'm gonna make a mistake on here. You saw me doing this. So I did that when you were talking. I was like, nah, I need for her to be the one speaking. So she's highlighted, and I saw something. I go, oh, that's what I can do for Tracy when she's talking about herself. But hey, Wulwyn's talking now, so Wulwyn's gonna be the one.
You
So
have
we're
a
gonna
lot
have
of toys
fun.
on your end. This is going to
I'm
be
gonna
fun
have
to see how
fun.
you use them.
Let's have fun. Let's have fun. Ah,
Yeah, and I love
woo.
that. And you know what I also love? I was thinking about this very thing. We don't, when we watch children like make believe play, for example, we don't sit there and say to the child, "Oh my God, you're so delusional." We don't do
Mm,
that. You
wow.
know, child's play, and it's like, "Oh, you're so delusional." That isn't reality.
Mm,
But
mm,
we do that with one another. And this was what came through this morning when actually I do walking meditations a lot. And actually my best stuff comes through when I'm actually physically moving.
mhm.
But what came through was our realities, right? So is there an actual truth? Is there a capital T truth? Or are we all operating on our own truths based on our own perceptions?
Wow.
And this is what came through. Those perceptions and those truths are our journey, right?
Mm,
Our truth is our journey.
mm,
Is our journey. That's the path we're meant to walk. We're meant
wow.
to see things a certain way because we're meant to experience certain things in order to build and grow and all of this. And so let's say your truth, we
Mhm.
have an experience with one another. Your truth and your perspective is completely opposite of mine. Now, what came through was there is no potentially real truth. There's just yours and mine, your path and my path.
Mm,
Our jobs are to honor our paths while at the same time reckoning. So I can say to you, let's say, Wulwyn, I just know you're going to be this, right?
mm,
You're going to be doing this particular thing. And you're like, whoa, that is not my perception. Like I see myself doing this other thing. I don't fit into your reality in that way in my reality.
mm.
And normally, I mean, we sit there and say to one another, it's like, yeah, oh, you think I'm going to do that? You're delusional. Because my story might be different.
Mm,
But how can we, and I think this is one of the biggest, tests and challenges we've had since 2020, is how do we honor one another's paths and journeys, truths, even if they don't look anything like ours?
Mm.
And I think that's where I'm also hearing you and not thinking the person's delusional. It's like, okay, well, I play that role in your play, but that's not the role I play in mine. All right. Like, I'm going to just let that be. I'm not going to get distracted by the fact that I'm not going to try to convince you to see things the way I do. I'm not going to try to argue with you that, no, that's not what I'm going to do with my
Yes.
life.
Yes.
Like a father might say to a son, I see you becoming a lawyer or a doctor. He's like, well, I see myself becoming an artist. We're not here to argue our points. We're not here to say, no, you are going to be what I think you need to be, because that is important and you have skills there and, whatever. I see that you're going to fall in love with me. No, I don't see that that's going to happen. I mean, we're not here to argue that point. We're here to live our own realities, be inspired by that. And as much as possible, honor that other person is going to see things differently. And that came through so strongly, because what has to fall away for that to happen are the ego stuff, the being right, looking good, staying safe, and being comfortable. Because that's where we battle. That's where we say, but if you don't do what I think is important, you put me at risk. You put my journey path and my truth at risk. But that's still looking out. That's still expecting the world here, that the only way I can walk my path is if the rest of the world agrees with me. And that's wearing the mask, like you said. That's jumping through the hoops. That's saying I can't live my truth and walk my path unless the people around me agree that it's okay.
Wow. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Oof.
That one was
a lot of us are walking around waiting for people to agree or allow us to be who we are. Oh my goodness. And
to have our perspectives.
And you can't do that, because this African who was born in West Africa, Liberia, has a completely different one from somebody who's born in Switzerland or Colorado. And you tell me it's the weather is excellent, Wulwyn. I'm like, no, it's cold. It's too cold. Be like, no, Wulwyn. When I was younger, this was when I was younger, it was 80 degrees. It was 80 degrees all day, all night. We can't, and knowing that, oh my goodness, Traci, you touched knowing those things and coming into a space that you can put your cape on and do you, work in your genius, honor people, honor yourself. More so, I would say, honor yourself, because we dishonor ourselves. And there's something's coming through my mind. I gotta let it out. You have to be friendly with yourself. Be friends with you. If you can become a friend of yourself, then you can start making friends. And truly look at yourself to make sure you're not looking with rose-colored glasses. You're looking at yourself and saying, I don't like this part of me. If you don't, how can the person who is outside of you work with that? So become friends with yourself. When you become friends with yourself and you can honor yourself, you will not take dishonor from others.
I love that. I always say we live in closest proximity with ourselves, so liking who we are is really important. And liking who we are, to your point, doesn't always mean we like every aspect of ourselves. But, I always ask myself, like, for example, something came up for me recently where I was, feeling like something was happening with me and another person. And it suddenly occurred to me like, oh, maybe it's because they thought that this thing that I said or did was this. And I grappled with it. Then I was like, okay, whether that's true or not, it's coming up for me. So what do I need to do with that information?
Yes.
What do I need? It's not about running to them and being like, are you really upset that I did it? No, that's not what any of this is ever about. If it's coming up for me, then there's something that's out of alignment with me. Otherwise, it wouldn't be coming up. I would be like, well, I'm good. I don't know what their problem is, But it's coming up for me. And what was really interesting is, so there's this ancient practice called Ho'oponopono that comes from the Hawaiians. So, old Hawaiian tribes would would practice this Ho'oponopono, and it's a way of letting go. They call it the art of letting go. And it's working with those things that come up in your life in order to shift them and gain clarity around them, right? And release them. But we honor them, like you were saying. We have to honor that it's there instead of just pushing it down, like, oh no, go away, or oh, I'm going to just project it on the story and narrative on the other person. Oh, this is what they're doing to me, or what they're thinking, or whatever. No, we're supposed to work with it. So it's 4 statements. I'm sorry. Let me see if I get this right. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And people are just like, well, it doesn't always apply because I'm not apologizing. It's the energy of, even if you think, like in my situation, I was like, I don't know if that's what the person, their perspective was. It's not what I was doing, or it's not where I was coming from. So in actuality, do I have anything to apologize for? Perhaps not. It's not about that. It's about, there's something within you. If it's coming up in you, there's something, you're not apologizing to the other person. You're apologizing to yourself for holding that space of possibility of misalignment. So it's, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
I love you.
Or I love you. Thank you. I think it's, I love you. Thank you. And it's an honoring of self, to your point of being friends with you. It has nothing to do with the other person. Even if you're projecting that in your mind when you're saying it because of the situation is calling for it in your narrative, it's for yourself. And that's how we allow ourselves to let go, because the one reason why we don't let go of emotions that we haven't addressed, thoughts that we haven't addressed, physical ailments that we haven't addressed, the reason we can't let go and heal is because we're not honoring them. We're not addressing them, but we're not honoring them. We're not honoring and saying, guess what? Whatever this thing is, you have a right to be there. What do you have to teach me?
Yeah.
What do you have to show me? I want to work with you.
Yeah. Wow. Traci, I tell you, I have a feeling this show is about just what happened to you, removing the old wine, and to me, being childlike. I'll allow myself to make mistakes. It's a precursor of what's happening to most of us, and I beg to differ that it's not because of, maybe New Year, but it's not a resolution. It's a new way.
It's a new energy that's coming in.
We're scraping off certain things, and we were talking about this prior to the New Year, of truly coming into spaces and being present. I feel we are scraping off a couple layers in order, like in Liberia, before you do farming, or Africa, or anywhere, what my experience, because other people can do it a different way, and I will honor the way they do it. You cut the bush down, trees, whatever, and you burn the field. And when you burn the field, believe it or not, the new growth that comes naturally, you're like, how in the world I burned this thing? I burned it. And here's grass and trees and other things just blooming out of ashes. I think that's what we're doing as we're scraping. The scraping part burns. It burns when you're honoring yourself, when you're uncovering all those different parts within you that you don't like, or you want to shine, or you want to get rid of. And when you can come into the space honoring yourself, and that new growth starts to rise up, there's a I have a feeling that you were listening, myself, Traci, we're about to do exploits. And when I say exploits, big things. And why are we going to do big things? Because we are expecting that of ourselves. We're seeing ourselves in those positions.
We're inspiring ourselves and motivating ourselves, because we're honoring, we're embracing, we're owning ourselves.
It's about to be, you're about to see more books coming out of people.
Yeah.
You're about to see more shows coming out of people, and even that this young lady who is sitting back in the back here, working her magic here. She has a creative space. Um, 1865. You can look at the camera quickly. 1865 and Co. That's a creative space in downtown Raleigh. Fifth floor, Tracy. You understand me? That's going to be doing great things. And I can see, I may see us doing one or two shows there one of these days, Tracy.
We go, and that'll be the thing is we'll take our red chairs and we go in where we have inspiration, right?
There we
And I
go.
think that's the key piece. I mean, that is really my guiding light in the
Mm,
years to come, is that inspiration piece. What is
mm,
inspiring me to create, right? They talk about the greats and what inspired them. Waldorf, Emerson, was inspired, by nature, and just all of these people who have then chosen to inspire us through their work
yes.
were inspired by things, and they went to those places that inspired them so they could be inspired to create. And I think that that's
Mm,
really the time. I mean, they being those people who had talked about the time we would be going through, in the last 2 years, it's very similar to a shortened period of medieval dark ages. After that comes the Renaissance.
wow.
And
Yeah.
the Renaissance really is the phoenix that you talked about, the burning of the ashes and the new that springs from the death of the old. And we're really in a place now where I believe, it feels to me like we're emerging into a Renaissance period. But it doesn't
Mm,
mean, but at the same time, it's a little bit different than history, because history was, again, more of a incremental, you know, coming out of the dark ages and of starting to go into, a new place. We're still going to be dealing with the challenges of the old. We're still going to be dealing with the distractions of the death of what's dying. We're going to be holding space for both
yeah.
the emergence of the new and the death of the old that we are actually still attached to. And we were going to find out just exactly how much and in what ways we're attached to it as it's dying, because we got to go there with it
Yes.
to some extent. And will it take us down and under, or will we emerge stronger in understanding that as we finally let go of that, we make room for what can be, right? The renaissance is the rebirth, of from those places that have died.
Mm,
So I really feel like it is going to be an exciting time. It's going to be a challenging time. It's going to be all of that. And if we can stay inspired through all of it, I agree with you. I think we're going to produce things that we didn't even know were possible.
mm. So let's bring some comments from the eaves.
Yeah, we got Eves.
So we have Afro Pell, that is Emma. Some really good thought-provoking conversation. So true, so true. I think when we truly sit down and come into this space where we're talking about where you come to be creative, you go to the place. It's nature. It's for us. We found out that it's one of the many is coming on here and talking and just discussing things in the moment.
And it's
So
perfect that
definitely,
Rita is behind you creating. I mean, I think it's so interesting that she's creating inspiration for you literally
yes,
as we're talking about this today.
yes,
The fact
yes,
that we've never had anybody, on, in a physical background or anywhere. And as we are emerging into this new space, right? We have a new platform, but what's coming through for us as far as inspiration is literally in the making behind you right now.
yes, yes. Show your face, Rita.
She's like, gosh, I can't get anything done around here. She's like, I
Thank
thought
you,
I was
Rita.
not supposed to be on camera.
I know. But more from the eaves. We have Carl. Hey, happy New Year, Carl.
Happy New Year.
New Year. And then Jeannie goes, huh, this is an awesome podcast. Thank you. We
you.
truly appreciate it. We've worked hard at it. Not.
We stayed
I-
consistent with it.
There,
Yeah.
there you go. That's what we've done. And it's not work when both of us can talk. We love to talk. We have thought-provoking thoughts that we do with ourselves, and we found each other, and hey, we bounce it off one another. Wow, Tracy, 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. So
10 more
what
minutes in.
you've made some really big changes since Thanksgiving, right? Or maybe even thereabouts, right? Before that, as far as making decisions to do certain things and not do certain other things. And what's been kind of emerging for you in those spaces, or if you want to share kind of what those changes have been and what's calling you now.
So basically so I closed the business.
Did you hear that, folks? He closed his business.
Yeah.
I just want you to understand what he just said. Okay, he closed his business. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I closed the business. And I think it was there. Wow, Tracy, you're a trickster. You and you don't know yet. I'm gonna let you know how how you
I've been called all sorts of things.
let me tell you what she just did. We're talking about innovation and being creative, etc. And I think by me closing the business was a pathway to come to this space where I find myself to truly be creative and give gracefully what I have to the world. And the reason why I say that, and that's the process you see happening now. I had a blue curtain here behind me that had those what you call it. I created a backdrop, graphic, digital backdrop. And Rada was one of those who, when I said I'm going to remove it, I'm going to open the curtains, and she goes, "Oh, Wulwyn, you're opening the curtains to let people in your space."
Yes.
And as much as I'm letting people in my space, I mean, I'm doing it, yeah, literally, but it's people are about to see who I really am.
That's it. It's the transparency. You know, honestly, that's why I've never used backdrops. Like, this is actually my physical space. You can see me go in and out the door.
Yep. Yep.
Because I always felt that although they're beautiful and and you can brand them, and I mean, I could stick a little branding thing up here. I guess it would be on my door side.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, but why are we always hiding what our reality truly is? Why are we? And so I love that. I love what you're doing. And I love that you're creating now. It's not just, I'm going to let you see it, but I'm going to make it the exact way that inspires me. Right? I'm going to make it what I want to show the world, instead of hiding and putting something virtual that actually doesn't exist behind me to make it look like that's my reality.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually physically create the reality that I want to project forward. It's going to be actual. It's not going to be virtual.
Wow.
I love that.
And as you're talking, Carl goes, "Why are we hiding?"
Really, Carl, that is such a good idea. Good question. Why are we hiding? I mean, and honestly, we're going to be getting into a time we're going to be, transparency is happening on all levels. We're going to be able to read one another. So try in the future years to come and lie to someone. Everybody in the room is going to know you're lying. So what's the point? Right? So it's like, to his question, why are we hiding? Let's start getting practiced at not hiding now, so that later, whenever we start reading each other's minds and we know all these things and we can vibe each other that way, that we're not going to be embarrassed by the fact that we're going to old habits and like, oh, everybody just knew I just told a lie. Wow, that just sucks. But yeah, that's awkward.
Tracy, the strange thing is, people know when you are.
Yes. Yes. Oh, for
puffing
sure.
up and lying, because we aren't 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Well,
10-year-olds actually are best at knowing.
Thank you. But we are humans.
Yeah.
There's something that was built in this in our nature that detects these things,
Yes.
detects it.
Yep.
The hair on the back of your head rises up. You feel it, and then you say, "Nah, this person isn't." But then a month or two or a year, you find and say, "I knew he was lying," or "I knew she was lying." So we
Mhm.
can't remove the curtains. Remove the curtains. Remove the curtains. And Carl goes, when we open a book, we get to read the real story.
Yeah, I love that. We can't tell by just when the book is closed, looking at the cover. Like everybody puts so much energy into the cover. It's like we're gonna find out what that's about as soon as we open the book anyway.
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, that's
Oh,
fantastic. I love
isn't it?
that.
Isn't it? Carl, you know what? Mm, Carl.
What can we say about Carl? Carl, what do you want to say to us? What do you want to tell us? Hey, Carl, how's your like? What are you noticing around these things we've been talking about?
I know.
I
You
would
know,
love to know what you're experiencing so far, 5 days into the new year.
I'm looking for something. I'm looking for a gift, Tracy.
Yeah, you're
What
gonna
did
give
I,
him my book.
what did I put it?
Now the things are moving around. You're like,
No.
where's stuff go?
I had all two of them, my copy and the gift copy. Anyway, hey, Carl, I'm not going to say anything. Maybe I don't want to lie, but watch out. Something's going to happen. Uh, but, oh my goodness.
But you're literally modeling what we're talking about. And
Mm,
again, you know, with Rada there, she's creating in front of us as we speak. You've taken the curtain down. You know, we're talking like this is the showing. This is just do it. This is the
wow.
just doing it. We've been
Wow.
thinking about it. We've been pondering it. We've been considering it. We've been hoping for it. We've been praying that we would have the strength. I love you both. We love you too, Carl.
I know.
You keep it so real and relevant. We try. We don't know how to do it any other way. I think that's the thing. It's like, I'm like, I am terrible at making like small talk. Like I am the worst person probably on the planet when it comes to small talk. But like it's real. Like this is the physicality of
Yeah.
the manifestation that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what I love.
Mm,
That's what I love because now what we see is reflecting what we're saying.
wow.
Right? So our thoughts become things. Our thoughts, like what we're thinking about and what's coming out of our mouth, what we're communicating is literally manifesting in the physical reality.
Wow. This we couldn't ask for it any better. We couldn't model it. And this is so Rada comes in and we're doing it, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm saying, "Gosh, we can't do it. We can't." And I say, "You know what? I'm gonna." And here's the beautiful part. I say, "I know Tracy. Tracy's gonna be okay with it. I'm springing this up on her, but I'm pretty sure she's gonna be okay with it." And thank you so much for being okay with it. I truly appreciate you. We had a conversation with Rada behind there going to and fro with as if she's not even there. And we brought her in, to say something, say a thing or two. But thank you so much for honoring what's happening here.
Oh,
Mm,
well, I received that and I appreciate the acknowledgement. And you do know me well. I mean, I think, that's one of the things that works so beautifully about these conversations is you have to be able to allow yourself to show up not knowing what the answers are, not knowing
mm,
what direction, not knowing if you're going to end up with like, remember when, do you remember the conversation when you were in DC
uh-huh.
and there was all that wind and rain and stuff, and then you had to go inside and I think we lost like connection, and so I was on there by myself for like what 5 minutes or something like that.
Yes.
Like, but that is the excitement of being able to throw yourself on the journey path and be like, I
Mm,
have no idea what's going to happen.
yeah.
This is why we prefer not to have scripts. It's it's interesting to me. A number of years ago, I went to go see a public speaking event.
Hmm.
And I had a friend who was part of this whole thing, and it was all these professional speakers who had 5 minutes to kind of present a topic or a point.
Mhm.
And it's like TED Talks where people practice them to the point where they can get them down to 5 minutes, right? We
Mhm.
want to be able to work within that time. But I'll tell you what, I didn't feel any of these people. I was
Wow.
inspired by some of the things they were saying, and they had some interesting things that they were talking about, but I couldn't feel them because they were not present. They were literally communicating something that they had written in the past and had memorized.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when they were physically on stage presenting, it was like it might as well be an AI.
Mm.
The real person wasn't present with me, and so I couldn't feel that. They were living from a space in the past, and so I just never wanted, to be that
Mm.
type of speaker. I mean, granted, we have to prepare, we have to know what we're going to talk about to a certain extent, but when it's so practiced and so polished, we aren't present with it.
Mm. Mm.
Or if we are, we have to polish it, practice it, and then let go of it and see what parts of it emerge in the present
Wow.
moment, right? Which
Wow.
is where the I Have a Dream speech came from with Martin Luther King Jr.,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
He practiced a totally different speech, and then
Mm.
he showed up presently, and he was inspired by someone that said, tell him about the dream, Martin, and he went off the cuff and delivered something brilliant.
Wow. There, Carl goes again. Thank you all for opening up and being transparent. The truth hurts, but it helps.
Yeah, it can. It can for sure.
Traci Phillips, the first one in the book, season 3.
Season 3, 2022. I can't wait to see what comes out of this year.
I know. Thank you all. Please share this with your friends. Please go to the YouTube channel. I'm going to show it in closing. Please help us grow it. Traci, close us up, dear.
Well, again, happy new year to everyone. Happy 2022. Hopefully, this first conversation of the year inspired you to go out there and find what inspires you, because that's where we're all living from. I mean, I cannot impress upon people more, how strongly that's coming through, is that it's funny how we're expected to work. Like I'll say to my clients who hire, I'm like, we're going to have fun. And they're like, fun? I'm not hiring you to have fun. I'm like, yes, you are. You don't know it yet, but yes, you are. I mean, why? Again, the kids, what Wulwyn said about being childlike, let's remember what it's like, because that's actually when we're at our greatest.
Yes.
Is when we're in that kid state, right? Of excitement and curiosity and inspiration and all of those wonderful things when we think about childlike qualities. Let's go into this year and let's bring those back into our lives.
Ooh. So this is DJ WP getting off on this 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, you go and have a good.
Is music your life?
Day.
Make it your career at the Los Angeles Recording School. Learn to produce your own songs.
You can't see us dance, but we can just dance for a minute or two, and then we'll shut this broadcast down. Hey. Go, Traci. So it's on Facebook. It's Eavesdrop in the Moment. Please go in there and share and like. And then YouTube, you just use the bit.ly/eavesdrop in a moment. That should be clearer. I'll make that bigger, I think. Okay.
Yeah, down there.
Yeah, down there.